Hi, welcome to our campus tour presentation. My name's Matt. I work in the University of Northampton in Schools and Colleges Liaison team, and we're just going to show you a little bit about our campus today. So, campuses. You probably know what they are, and you've probably been to one of them before if you've been on an open day, but they can be broadly categorized into three groups. So, you've got traditional groups where the university exists in one place, has lots of different buildings in one area. Traditional campuses are got accommodation on campus, you've got university buildings, research buildings, you've got labs, and you've got the sports complex all in one place. And traditional universities are the ones that are most associated with universities as a whole. So we at the University of Northampton have what you'd call a traditional campus. Other universities that do are places like Lincoln and Swansea. So, city universities are slightly different to traditional campuses. City universities, you'll generally find the accommodation, as well as buildings and everything else that goes into a university, is spread across different areas of the city. So, they might not have everything in one central location. So that might mean some significant travel between those places. So, you'd have to think about that when you go to university and whether that's the right thing and the right fit for you. So, examples of this are like King's College London and UCL, both in London. Manchester, Manchester Met in Manchester, and Birmingham City universities in Birmingham. So they are pretty much the city universities where you'll find these buildings spread out all over the place. So finally, the final categorization is green space universities. Now, these tend to be campus universities which are based on the edges of small villages or small towns, a little bit set away from the town centre itself. So examples of this are Edge Hill, which is based on the outskirts of Ormiston, which is a small town near Liverpool. Keele, which is again a small town just outside of Stoke and has a small campus located just outside of Keele. And then the Royal Agricultural University, which is very, very set in its own place just away from the town of Cirencester. So most universities will have a focal point. We have ours in the Learning Hub. So in here, you'll be able to find teaching spaces, the library, places to sit and study, as well as student services and IT support. So everything you need can be found in this one building, and that's why it's our central hub. Different universities will have different areas, and they might not all have the same things inside them, but there will be a general focus on that being the main university building. So, in terms of teaching spaces, many universities will have a specialized subject which they like to focus on, and they'll have equipment which matches that. So, on our campus, we have lots of specialized teaching areas and plenty for nursing and midwifery and allied health professional courses. So, here you can see one of the examples of our paramedic suites where we have the ambulance, the back of an ambulance basically inside the building. And that just gives students the opportunity to learn where everything would be in a real ambulance in a teaching and classroom environment. So this sort of specialized equipment obviously gives you the opportunity to learn based in the classroom without that added stress of being on the job. You can also see an example of our midwifery suites here, which also have all of the latest equipment that you'd find in a real hospital. So that again gives students the opportunity to learn firsthand what it will be like using that equipment in a real life situation. And just having access to those sort of specialized equipments are really great in terms of developing your understanding and your skill of using that before you actually have to use it in practice. So while that's what we have, obviously different universities will have different areas they specialize in. Some universities will specialize in things like engineering, and they'll have specific engineering labs where you'll be able to use wind tunnels and other stuff like that. But you'll have to look at those at different universities as well. So we also have creative spaces. So we offer different range of subjects like fashion, television, radio, media, all different things like that. And so those require specialized creative spaces. So as you can see here, we've got an example of our fashion studios, which is a top image. And there you can see that there's mannequins. There's also computers, so you can design all your stuff on the computers. There's also 3D printers and cutout machines, which use lasers to cut out the fabric to specific measurements, so you can make that dress that you've been working on and everything else like that. There's also TV studios, so we're lucky that we have a green screen and everything else that you need to run a TV company. And that just gives students an opportunity to work closely with all of the latest tech, get an idea of how it works and everything like that before you head into the workplace. You also get to use that in groups, so you'll get a nice rotation. So if you choose to do something like TV studies, you'll get to use the camera, you'll be a mic boom operator, you'll get to use all the stuff in the control room, you get to direct. As a group, you just get to rotate around so you can see which one works best for you. It just gives everybody an overview of how everything in the industry works. So here you can see our halls of residence. So there are two different types. There are on-campus and off-campus accommodations. So on campus will normally be reserved for the traditional campuses as well as the green campuses. And then off campus, you'll typically find in a city centre where there isn't really that much on campus accommodation. Some universities will have the option of both on campus and off campus accommodation simply to house the amount of students that apply for it every year. So here you can see a range of our on campus accommodation, which has a price range difference as well as facilities difference. So at our top end and most expensive, you'll get a double bed with ensuite facilities. At our lower range, you'll get a single bed and you'll have shared facilities. But it's obviously up to each individual person which one will suit them, and you'll have to look at different universities to see what sort of range they will have. So here you can see a sample of our waterside accommodation, which is our on-campus accommodation. This was only built in 2015, so it's relatively new compared to some other universities. So we are lucky in the fact that students get really nice accommodation when they come to us. You'll normally find that on-campus accommodation and university-run accommodation in general is reserved primarily for first years. And this is because obviously coming into a university, you're maybe moving far away from home, you might not know people that you're going to university with, so therefore it's reserved for them students. You can apply to stay in on-campus accommodation in second and third years. However, normally you'll find that you'll be asked to rent privately from a private landlord in the local area, and you'll share this with maybe your flatmates that you met in first year or students that you've met on your course. So off-campus accommodation is normally slightly further away from the university. It might be 15-minute walk, it could be a bus ride away. It's just not on campus in effect. We do have some off-campus accommodation, but as I said, we do have a lot of on-campus as well. Uh, Off-campus accommodation is normally reserved for universities which are city-based, so places in London, places in Birmingham, Manchester, they'll normally have accommodation which isn't necessarily directly next to their um, their teaching buildings, but is relatively close that you could either walk or maybe get a bus as well. So our off-site accommodation is called St John's Halls. So these are slightly cheaper than the on-campus accommodations, and they have a different range as well. So you do have some which are en-suite, some which aren't, some which are double beds, some which are single beds, and we do have some that are studio flats as well. So there are different ranges, and you can have a look at those at different universities as well to see what they're offering as well. So the Students' Union is normally found on campus. So this can be in a bar or it might be a building. It could be a range of different things. But the Students' Union is normally where you'll find all of the student reps which represent you as at the university. So these are full-time reps normally. You'll normally have one for undergraduates, postgraduates, different ranges of representation within the university. And the Students' Union is there for you as a student. It's not part of the university, only affiliated with the university as a the fact that they'll deal with issues with the university on your behalf. So if you have an issue with your course, with your tutor, with anything, they'll represent you to the university and try and get the issue sorted for you. So we do have a building on campus, which is home to the SU, which is called the Engine Shed. And here you'll be able to find sitting spaces, so spaces for coffee, have lunch, have a bit of a chat with some course mates, maybe go over some other stuff. And then further down the back, we've also got hireable pods, which you can use for group work, for working on presentations, or for solo study as well. We also have a bar slash nightclub, which is off campus. So in the day, doubles up as a place where you can buy coffee and things like that. In the evening, it can go to a bar slash pub area, and in the evening, it's a nightclub, and that's where the students go for their student nights out. So, as well as obviously accommodation and campus, you probably might want to get involved in some sports while you're at university. So, making sure you know what sports facilities are available to you are is really key. So, we have a 4G pitch on campus, which is used by many of our sports teams, rugby team, football team, lacrosse team, all sorts of different sports that are available to play. And that is based next to our Institute of Leather Technology, and it's just to the left of the main building on campus. So this sports complex also doubles up as a lab area for our sports degrees. So there's opportunities for you to use the equipment and use the on-campus gyms for study as well. So sometimes universities will have the opportunity for you to have a look at more. So you can see all of our facilities by using our 3D tour by just following the link as listed below. So it's www.northampton.ac.uk/360-tour. And there you can just have a look around all the facilities at your own leisure, have a look at the accommodation, have a look at the engine shed and the Students' Union, have a look at the Learning Hub and all the creative facilities we have on campus. Do make sure you have a look at other universities as well, just to see what they have and see whether different places might be the correct place for you. So thank you for listening. And now we're going to take any questions you have about accommodation, about campuses, any questions you have at all, just feel free to put them in the box and we'll give them a go at answering.